Welcome to TBC News, our top stories. TANAPA re-strategizes, expands its dominance. Optimism high as DRC and M23 set for talks. Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Nasa Kingu. Just a reminder, you can also follow us live via our YouTube channel, TBC Online, and also get all the latest news through our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter pages at TBC Online. We start in Paris, where Finance Minister Mwigulu Nchemba urges French investors to invest in Tanzania in the pharmaceutical manufacturing industry so as to address the shortage of essential human medicines caused by policy changes in various countries around the world. Dr. Nchemba made the call in Paris, France, when he met and held talks with a delegation from the French Development Agency, AFD, led by the agency's Deputy Director General, Bertrand Welkner.
Lakini tumejadiliana pia kuhusu maeneo mahususi ambayo tunaweza tukashirikiana, moja likiwa la ujenzi wa reli pamoja.
However, we have also discussed specific areas where we can collaborate, one of which is railway construction in the health sector, where the government of Tanzania is planning to implement projects for the production of pharmaceuticals, particularly in areas that have previously received funding.
Furthermore, the AFD Deputy Executive Director says the issue of African countries, including Tanzania, having their own pharmaceutical manufacturing industries is crucial for the future of the nation and its people.
So we clearly need the mobilization of countries to take a long-term view on what is required today in Tanzania to face the health issues that will develop over the years, and to make the necessary investments that normally require both public and private funding. And this is the view that has been taken also in France, where the government has decided to secure the production of paracetamol through some kind of subsidies or agreement with Sanofi to pay a higher price than the normal market price on those kind of molecules, because this is the condition for you to maintain a domestic production on such types of molecules.
Welkner says that the French Development Agency has invested 1.3 billion euros in various projects in Tanzania due to its political and economic stability, and that they will continue to collaborate with Tanzania in implementing various development projects for the benefit of both nations. The Tanzania National Parks Authority, TANAPA, has increased the number of national parks to compete for the annual leading national park based on quality service competition from the previous 2 to 10 national parks this year. The move was announced by the TANAPA's Assistant Commissioner for Conservation, who is in charge of the Business Development Unity, Julie Limo, during the launch of the campaign to encourage Tanzanians to vote for the national parks. Our reporter Irene Mwakalinga was there and has prepared the following report.
Kitulo National Park, also known as God's Garden, is located in Makete District, Njombe Region, with an area of 412.9 square kilometers and the first in Africa to be established with the aim of preserving plants, especially attractive flowers of various kinds. TANAPA Assistant Conservation Commissioner Julie Limo says this time Kitulo National Park has become one of the 10 national parks to enter in the race for the World Travel Awards.
Africa's leading tourist attraction, ambao ulikuwa unashindanishwa ni mlima Kilimanjaro.
Mount Kilimanjaro was the leading tourist attraction together with Serengeti National Park, and for now we have 10 game reserves and 8 groups. The initial groups are inclusive and 6 more have been added.
This implies that the efforts made by President Samia Suluhu Hassan to promote tourism through 2 films of Royal Tour and Amazing Tanzania which continue to bear fruit, in which Kitulo, Ruaha, Katavi, and Nyerere parks became new entries, adding up to the two Serengeti and Mount Kilimanjaro.
Ndio maana kauli mbiu ya hifadhi hii inaitwa Bustani ya Mungu.
That is why the main motto here is the Garden of God, which means this whole area is usually filled with a variety of flowers.
Ali Gazi is the chief conservator of Kitulo National Park. Here he speaks of the uniqueness of the national park based on its reality of ecology being natural.
Msimu mzuri ni kuanzia ile miezi ya late November.
The best season is from November up to April, and all the seasons that bring together families also. One will find many flowers here.
In the campaign, Conservation Ambassador, the Bongo Flava artist Mbosso, launched the campaign for all 10 national parks that will be voted on in the Vote Now campaign. Irene Mwakalinga, TBC, Mbeya.
From the tourism sector now, we move to the education sector, where the Nelson Mandela Institute of Science and Technology has opened a new chapter of cooperation with the Swiss government, aiming at strengthening technological and innovation at the institute, especially related to clean energy, which is currently a critical global agenda. Speaking after the visit, the Swiss ambassador to Tanzania, Nicole Providoli, says she is satisfied with the research conducted and innovation achieved, insisting that if developed further, will be of great use to many social challenges in the African region.
It's really very interesting to see what you are doing, what you are planning to do, and so we have a very solid cooperation between Switzerland and the Nelson Mandela Institute through the EPFL. So this is the Polytechnical Institute of Lausanne. So we just went to visit the Center of Competence of Digitalization, which is very impressive. And we work also in other fields together, like how to use underused plants in order to do biogas. So for Switzerland, it's very important that the institutions directly cooperate together, work together, so that knowledge transfer can be done directly by the two countries.
On the other hand, the Vice-Chancellor of the Nelson Mandela Institute of Science and Technology, Professor Maulilio Kipenyula, says this step is an important opportunity in the innovation and the technology sector in the country.
Connect Nelson Mandela African Institute of Science and Technology and sister institutions in Switzerland. The second objective is to connect the Nelson Mandela African Institute of Science and Technology with the companies, technology companies in Switzerland. And we believe that through this engagement, our innovations and technologies will gain access to the Swedish market. And in that way, our motto, Academia for Society and Industry, will be fulfilled.
The Director General of the Tanzania Broadcasting Corporation, Ayub Rioba, says as the country prepares for the upcoming general elections, there is a great importance of media to ensure accurate reporting, warning that fake news, if not addressed, could mislead voters and compromise the integrity of the electoral process. He insists Tanzanian media sector plays a critical role as the bridge between the public and the electoral process. But with rapid development in the digital technology and artificial intelligence, the media sector now faces new challenges.
I have been involved in research and studies trying to understand the concept of fake news. And in 2023, I was able to publish a chapter in a book edited by the late Professor Teddy Mariamkono, in which several other scholars in this country published different subjects. And my topic in particular was actually fake news. And I was able to understand how fake news is a serious problem, not only here in Africa, but throughout the country, but also various efforts being undertaken by governments and other stakeholders to address the scourge. Now, in elections in particular, there are various cases that are shown by scholars by which democracy and specifically general elections were affected by fake news, that different groups, because of varying objectives, would actually create deliberately fake news to affect the cause of the election. And so it's a subject which is under scrutiny and under study by scholars, and that's why we've been able to provide this opportunity to journalists to actually discuss and share examples and see how best they can cover elections without being affected by the fake news phenomenon. So we have actually explored ways through which they can detect that this is a fake news. This is not genuine information. It's just fake news or AI manipulated content.
Furthermore, the government chief spokesperson, Gerson Msigwa, urges young journalists to equip themselves with the right tools and trainings to cover the upcoming general elections effectively.
But my call to them is make sure that you expose yourself to experience. This is very important. Learning from the college is one thing, but learning more through experienced institutions and experienced personnel is of paramount importance. So I urge them to make sure that they attend as many trainings as possible. There are trainings that are prepared by TBC, like this one, but there are also trainings that are prepared by the Independent National Electoral Committee, but also other trainings that are offered by other stakeholders. This is very important. But also, I think it is also a duty of experienced journalists to open their check so that they invite these young girls and boys who are joining the journalism professional.
As the countdown to the elections continue, media institutions are encouraged to uphold professionalism, to verify every information and to resist the spread of misinformation for the public interest. Move now to the banking sector, where the Monetary Policy Committee, MPC, of the Bank of Tanzania BOT has kept the central bank rate CBR at 6%. This follows the official announcement made by Dr. Yamungu Kayadabila, the BOT Deputy Governor for Economic and Financial Policies, following MPC meeting to review the recent performance of the nation's economy. Here are more details.
During the conference, Dr. Kayandabila says the MPs has observed inflation and economic growth. The outlook is aligning with the desired trajectories. However, the caution has global trade policies and geopolitical conflicts may impact domestic inflation and output. To mitigate potential negative effects from trade tariffs and geopolitical tension, the MPs concludes that keeping the central bank rates steady would be prudent.
Consequently, the bank will implement monetary policy to ensure our operating target, which is our 7-day interbank market rate, moves within the range of 4 to 8%. The MPC observed that the outlook for inflation and economic growth remains within the desired path. But as we all know, global trade policies and the geopolitical conflicts might affect domestic inflation and output.
Dr. Kayandabila highlights a positive economic outlook, forecasting a growth rate of 5.5% for the year 2024 and the first quarter of 2025, which is expected to increase to 6.1% in the second quarter due to the robust activities in both public and private sectors.
The economy sustained strong performance last year, 2024, supported by both public and private sector investments. In mainland Tanzania, the economy is estimated to grow at 5.5%. 2024. 5.5. This is from NBS. our National Bureau of Statistics, compared with the projection of 5.4% and 5.1% in 2023.
On the other hand, Tanzania Bankers Association chairperson Tebo Tsabi recommends continued reforms by the Bank of Tanzania, adding that these reforms are designed to enhance operational efficiency and stimulate broader growth within the sector and economy at large.
You have enumerated GDP growth, the current account deficit, inflation, reserves, debt sustainability, to name a few, are very strong performance indicators.
The MPs anticipate that the bank will continue to advance reforms in the interbank market to improve interest rate determination, vigilantly monitor risks concerning inflation and output, and undertake appropriate monetary policy actions as needed. Reporting from Dar es Salaam, Antonia Kivaria, TBC News.
The Congo government and M23 rebels are expected to hold direct talks next week, April 9th. Sources from both sides have announced this week, which will be a potential boost to Qatar's efforts to end the Central African country's worst fighting in decades. The meeting in Doha, if materializes, will be the two sides' first direct negotiations since M23 fighters captured eastern Congo's two largest cities in an offensive that has left thousands of people dead and has forced hundreds of thousands of people to move from their homes. To discuss more on the issue, we are joined in the studio once again by a political and African affairs analyst, Tbcnews Niagira. Mr. Niagira, welcome to TBC News one more time.
Thank you for having me.
We understand what's going on at the moment, but some may ask, why Qatar?
Yes, you know, Nasa Kingu, it is very paramount. Sometimes international politics is hard to understand. And especially during this time when we are speaking of conflicts almost all over the world. Qatar has been, over a few decades, participating, being a mediator between international conflicts from Lebanon to Kenya, Somalia, Darfur. But this was unexpected. And it has come at the time when Angola, the major mediator, has just pulled out recently. And it might be maybe facilitated by 2 or 3 factors. Number one, Qatar has invested in minerals in Congo. Over 2 billion has been injected there. So letting the conflict escalate really put Qatar into poor business negotiating power. So it's paramount that Qatar should intervene. That's number one. But number two, the U.S. kind of policies today, they are making nations think strategically. They are asking in 5 years to come, what will be the general trend and how will the economy be? So you find the nations are trying their best to find a strategic way of having either critical minerals into their reserve so that in future and see how things could be, for them will be actually a kind of an armory for them. But another thing of which you may think is about, I think about the name. Actually, Qatar has been a neutral party in all these transactions. So wants to lift up itself and see that it's maintaining the over few decades ago, the stand it had and the name it had in international mediation. So I think that's what we can say, which is why Qatar.
With that one being set, it's been a long time coming. Based on what we already know, how likely these talks will truly happen?
Currently, I think they have no option, the two parties, because the major chief negotiator of African Union has pulled out and the African Union has not appointed any. So it is most likely that they will sit. And because the factors which actually prevailed in Angola not take place, which has been set between M23 together with the government of Kinshasa, I don't think if it is likely to happen, because they pulled out because of the major sanctions which were put by European Union together with some other nations over the M23 leaders. But now coming on table in Qatar is the neutral party, and it has exercised such kind of... So
most likely that one is going to happen.
So it's most likely that's going to happen.
For the benefits of the East African community, and of course Tanzania being included, how likely do you think these talks will actually end the crisis going on in DRC?
I can't guarantee that it will end, because the M23 has been in discussion with the government of Kinshasa. In 2018, actually, when President Tshisekedi took power, they had a series of discussions, actually, for almost 12 months, where they agreed on a certain peace formula, but it was not followed by the government of Kinshasa. And there has been a number of cases where you have seen African Union from the Angola process, Nairobi process, the joint SADC and the AAC, all together have not yielded results. But I'm optimistic that something may come out, but we can't say it will end the problem in the Congo.
Yeah, Niagara, we have to end it there for the case of DRC and, of course, M23. Now, let's move on to what is happening in South Sudan, where Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni is in South Sudan, as the UN has expressed concern of renewed civil war after the main opposition leader was put under house arrest. Let's join my colleague Lulu Mohammed, who has the latest.
Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni has met and held talks with South Sudanese President Salva Kiir over the ongoing political crisis in the country. The talks follow amid increasing unrest in South Sudan, following the arrest of first Vice President and opposition leader Riek Machar and some of his associates. Museveni has been a key mediator in regional peace efforts, including brokering South Sudan's 2018 peace deal that ended a brutal civil war. Riek Machar was arrested in late March this year, and the government accuses him of plotting a rebellion, allegations his allies have denied. The United Nations, African Union, and regional leaders have condemned the detention of Riek Machar, warning that it risks destabilizing peace in the world's youngest nation.
Our political and African affairs analyst, Tbcnews Niagara, is still in the studio. Why always the Sudan region?
The question of Sudan is critical also, and is over decades, and it can be viewed from several perspectives, like 2 or 3. You see, from 1955 up to 1972, there has been an ongoing, actually, a major civil war which happened in those times. From 1983 again up to 2005, there has been also another ongoing civil war, which was between the South with the Northerners, the government in Khartoum. And from that time, you can see, from 1955 up to 2005 is almost 39 years. So if you look from 2013, after now the peace agreement, which was made in Naivasha, 2005, the country was divided into 2 by then, as according to the provisions of the comprehensive peace agreement, that there should be the government, the Khartoum government from the north, called the Government of National Unity, but also there must be another government in the south called the Government of South Sudan, so-called the government GOS. And the distribution of wealth, which was a major question, was at a tune of $10 billion from the oil producing to the southern Sudan. Now, when they entered into a referendum, 2011, 2012, then in 2013, another conflict began. Over 12 years now. So you can see Sudan has been on news since about 51 years, if you can tell. So it is a conflict which is more long-serving than even major conflicts in Africa. That's the perspectively from the historical perspective of that, why Sudan. But the second is from its effects, that what all these talks within the Sudan has happened. what has happened actually. So from that label, you can be able to say maybe why Sudan. But the last one, which is a philosophical part of it, is that it is a tendency of human being, mankind, to fight for a better life. When you read in a book written by Hugo Grotius called The Right of War and Peace, wars are undertaken for the sake of peace. So when you see people taking arms, they are fighting for peace. They want glorification where they can be themselves. So it has not been why Sudan. It is a nature of human beings. Everywhere we are fighting. So war is a contention by force. So everywhere we are at war.
Now, the president of Uganda is in South Sudan. How likely is going to save the situation?
He may save it and he may not save it because of, let me start with he may save it because one is a strong ally of Southern Sudan. He has participated largely in supporting the current government, even before the death of John Garang Mabior in those 2000 and something. He has been there and he has sent his army, his military, part of UPDF is in Southern Sudan. So most likely he might have a good card to be listened. And because he's a long-serving president in Africa and in East Africa, most likely. And he's a member of IGAD as well. And IGAD has contributed largely to solve those conflicts around Southern Sudan, and the major part of that area of Eritrea, Ethiopia, and many parts of Kenya. So that's number one. But number two may not serve it simply because of one thing, local tensions. The conflict in Southern Sudan, though yes being a leadership concept, a leadership issue, still it is emanating from tribal issue. So we have the Nuer on the one side being led by Riek Machar. We have the Dinka on the other side being led by SPLM, by Salva Kiir. So the tensions in between, they are always tense. And you
that
can
could be one of the causes that maybe he will fail to...
Yes, maybe he will fail.
The desired
because
results.
the two seem not to be together, seem not to participate in a very cordial manner. And 2018, they had breached an agreement. And this agreement has never been materialized.
Yeah. Mr. Nyagira, I'm sorry, we have to end it there. I know great insight there about South Sudan and earlier about M23 and DRC as well. Thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Sports News up next. In sports news, the Tanzania baseball national team is in Kenya to participate in the East African Baseball Championship competition, hoping they will do well and cruise to the World Cup baseball tournament. Tanzania baseball national team players say even if they are late to travel to Kenya, they will fight hard using their skills to ensure they come back home with the trophy.
Athari inaweza ikawepo kwa sababu mentality ya wachezaji inakuwa ina vary.
The effects may not be immediately visible, but even in this case, we had already made good preparations from the beginning. Our goal is to perform well in those competitions, regardless of the circumstances.
That's the sports news. Weather update is up next.
Hello dear viewers, and thank you for joining us for the next 24 weather forecast. And by starting with the patterns, tomorrow we expect the light wind of 20 kilometers per hour for Lake Tanganyika and the moderate wind of 30 kilometers per hour for Lake Victoria, Lake Nyasa, together the entire coast. And the state of the sea is expected to be moderate, while info models are still portraying the enhancement of activities over the coastal areas. And Tanzania Meteorological Authority is issuing an advisory of short periods of heavy rains over a few areas of Tanga, together with Unguja and Pemba ISOs. So precautive measures should be taken. And for tonight, we expect Lake Victoria Basin, western part of the country, together with northern coast, are expected to feature partly cloud condition, thunder showers over a few areas. While for Singida, together with Dodoma regions, are expected to feature partly cloud conditions. And for the rest part of the country, are expected to feature partly cloud condition, rain showers over a few areas. And for tomorrow, we expect western part of the country, together with northern coast, are expected to feature cloud condition, thunder showers over a few areas, and sun interval. While for Singida and Dodoma regions are expected to feature partly cloud condition, rain showers over a few areas and sun periods. And for the rest part of the country are expected to feature partly cloud condition, thunder showers over a few areas and sun periods. Let us see next 4 days forecast from different cities and regions. Dar es Salaam thunder showers are expected. The maximum temperature is 30 degrees. Dodoma rain showers, light rain and sun period are expected. The maximum temperature is 29 degrees. Mbeya thunder showers, rain showers and light rain showers are expected. The maximum temperature is 24 degrees. Mwanza thunder showers are expected. The maximum temperature is 29 degrees. Kilimanjaro thunder showers and rain showers are expected. The maximum temperature is 31 degrees. Morogoro thunder showers are expected. The maximum temperature is 27 degrees. Arusha thunder showers and rain showers are expected. The maximum temperature is 27 degrees. I'm Rebecca William from Tanzania Meteorological Authority. Thank you. Have a nice weekend and good night.
That marks the end of the news bulletin for tonight. Don't miss our next bulletin in Kiswahili at 11 p.m. On behalf of the whole team, I'm Nasa Kingo. We wish you a good night and a constructive weekend.